Hi, this is Jeremy Poole, and this video will be a quick introduction to a new feature in Recollector called Managed Access. Managed Access is about allowing multiple people working as a collaborative group to work together on a single collection without having to worry about the changes that one person makes, possibly overriding or conflicting with the changes another person in the group makes. In order to use managed access, you need to make sure that your collection file and its associated images are stored in a place where all the people who are working on it can access it from their computers. In the example I'll be showing you today, I have set up a collection and put it onto Dropbox. If I do File, Summary, we can see here that this collection is located in my Dropbox folder. I've made a separate subfolder called Recollector, and in that I have my collection file. Because I have given Dropbox access to the other people who will be working with me on this collection, all of us can access this same location and can access the same collection. Now, without managed access turned on, when a collection is opened like this one, I can immediately make changes. I can click on Edit, I can go into the editor, I can add records, delete records, change records. And let's say there's a second person who happens to be working on a Macintosh who also has opened the same collection because they too from their Mac have access to the same Dropbox folder. Well, that person might also open the editor window and make changes to the collection, and those changes might conflict with the changes I'm making, and that's why we have managed access in the first place. So let me show you how to use managed access. To start with, you should make sure that only you are using the collection at the time that you turn managed access on. So here I'm going to quit Recollector on the Macintosh and go back to the PC where I'm accessing it. Let's just pretend that my name is Albert and I'm working on this collection on the PC and Angela is working on the Mac. So Albert is the one who is going to decide, who has decided, and the group has agreed that this collection should be put under managed access. So let's see how you do that. You select managed access from the file menu. And to turn on managed access, you have to create a password for the collection. And you have to share that password with all the people to whom you want to give the right to access and update the collection. So let me type in a password. And also note there's a timeout interval here. The timeout interval lets you specify how many minutes of inactivity will cause the collection to be released from exclusive access of whoever currently has the right to update the collection. Let's just leave it at 15 minutes for now, and now I'm going to say OK. And now there's a message that comes up that says, hey, your collection is now under managed access. And there's some words about the password that you've typed in. And the other thing it says is that your collection is in read-only mode, and you can see that also in the title bar of the collection where it says read-only. That means that changes cannot be made. I can go and look at the collection, I can view records, I can resort the collection if I want to see it in a different sort order. Let's sort it by map maker. Or sort it back again by ID number. It doesn't really matter. I have complete control over what I can do with this in terms of viewing the collection, but I cannot make changes to it. I can't add records, I can't delete records. But suppose I want to make a change to the collection. How do you do that? Well, you do that by again going to File and choosing Managed Access. But now you're not being asked to set up the managed access password, you're being asked to supply it. So I'm going to type in the managed access password. What did I say my name was? Arthur? Well, let's say it was Arthur. I've actually forgotten what I said. But let's say Arthur. So I'm going to say my name is Arthur, and you can really type anything you want here as long as it's a name that the other people in your group will recognize, because your name will show up at other times that we'll see in a moment, so to communicate between the members of the group. Okay, now the collection has now been reopened for access by you. Other users will not be able to make changes to the collection until you've finished making your changes. Notice how the edit button is now available. And we'll come back here and make some edits in a second, but let's turn to Angela right now. Let's go back to the Mac and let's start up Recollector over here. And here's the collection is opened, and notice it says it is read-only in the title bar. And that's because Recollector on the Mac also knows that this collection is under Managed Access. Well, let's say Angela wants to make some changes. So she will go to the File menu and choose Managed Access. And just as before, she is being asked for the password. So she types in the password, because we've shared the password with everybody in the group who we want to be able to allow to make changes. And she types in her name, Angela, and she clicks OK. Oh, Angela is being informed now that she cannot make changes at this time. Why? Because if you see what's written there, the collection is currently open for changes by another user, Arthur. Please try again later. And also it says to Angela, does she want to be notified when Arthur's finished making his changes? That's probably a good idea. So let's say, yes, notify me. And so Angela can still use the collection to view, but she knows she has to wait now until Arthur's changes have been made. Let's look at a particular record, though. Let's look at this very first record here. And it says the condition is very good. Let's keep that in mind, because we're going to go back now to Arthur's view of the world. And Arthur, as you remember, has the ability to change things. And let's have him edit the same record. And let's go to the condition field and say, let's just add some. In fact, it is nearly excellent. Okay. So Arthur has now made that change. If we went back to Angela's view and looked at the record, it still would just say very good, because Angela's view of the collection is what it was at the moment she opened it. And it's only later on when if she closes it and reopens it, or if eventually she gets the right to make changes to the collection, that she will see the updates that Arthur here has made. Now let's say that's the only change that Arthur wants to make. He can release his managed access grip on this collection in several ways. He can simply close the collection, he can exit from Recollector, or he can again choose managed access, and it informs him he currently has update permission. Does he want to release it? And so let's say the answer is yes, he wants to release it. And if you look up now, you'll see again this collection is read-only, because Arthur has now released it, and so his access, like everybody else's, is now only read-only. But if we look at that record that he made a change to, there it is. It says very good. In fact, it is nearly excellent. So, in the meantime, let's go back and view Angela's world. Oh, there's an update that Angela got, telling her the collection is now available for updating. And this notification came because she asked to be notified when the collection was released by whoever previously was editing it. So Angela will say OK, and she will go to the File menu again and choose Managed Access, and she will again be asked for the password and asked to type in her name and click OK. and the collection has now reopened. In this case, it changed its size a little, but we can resize it so it's closer to what we saw before. And notice it no longer says read only. The edit button is accessible. And let's look at that first record. There it is. Arthur's change to the condition is there. And now Angela can make changes. And back in Arthur's world, if he decided, guess there's some other change I wanted to make, and he went and asked to do managed access, I think you can guess what's going to happen. He's being told that the collection is currently being updated by another user, Angela. Please try again later. And he too can ask to be notified. But in this case, I'll say, no, don't bother. So that's really all there is to managed access. It's a system that allows one person at a time and only one person at a time to make changes to the collection, but to anybody in the group to have access to the collection. Additionally, if you were using Recollector, let's say in a setting of a gallery, and where you had several employees in the gallery, all of whom knew the managed access password and could all make updates by requesting managed access, and when granted, making those changes and then releasing it. You might also want to have a computer out there for your customers who are coming in to browse through what you have about the inventory in your gallery, which you have in Recollector. And those users could sit down at this computer and could look to their heart's content. Even if they discovered by fooling around that there was this menu item called Managed Access and they chose it, they would still not be able to make changes to the collection because they don't have the password. So the password is what restricts changes to the set of people you want to be able to make changes, but otherwise does not let people look at the collection other than in a read-only mode. And the last thing to mention, and I won't go into the details here, but the way managed access is run is by some additional files that are on the disk in addition to the collection file itself. The documentation for managed access describes these files and describes how whoever you want to consider the system manager for your collection database at your site, whoever has that responsibility, can learn how to do such things as take a collection out of managed access. Let's say for whatever reason you decide you no longer need or want to use managed access. It tells you how you can do that, or tells you how you can actually release the lock on your collection, which one user got when they asked to have managed access, even if something suddenly disastrous happens, like there's a power failure and their computer dies suddenly in the middle of their session, and so the managed access lock is still on. There's a way to release that lock that a system manager sort of person can do. It's really very easy, but it's not something that needs to be shown to everybody. Okay, that is really a description of what the new managed access facility in Recollector is, and I hope that you find it useful. Thank you.